So this table here, this is information nilienda nikapata from the Department of State. Sawa. Information provided by the Department of State yenye ina run numbers of visas. Sawa sawa. Alafu what they did is they wali compile information yote. They compiled all the information ya kutoka 2018 mpaka 2022. Those are 5 years. Hizo 5 years, what they are doing is they are showing what year, like they're showing what visa they issued, the category of the visa, the class of the visa. Alafu they're showing how many people they've issued consistently over the last 5 years. So we'll walk through, and if you don't really know, if you don't really know the visa classes that the US has, you can learn from here, because this is non-immigrant visa classes. These are visas that temporary visas. So visas that they intend you to come to the US, alafu come back. They intend you come to the US, alafu after you've done whatever you want to do, you come back to the US. Sawa sawa. Aya. Tuanze na the first one. First one ni A1. So there's A visa, kuna visa class inaitwa A, but it's divided into 3 visas. Kuna A1, A2, A3. A1 ni visa they issue to, wanaissue kwa ambassadors, prime ministers, diplomats, consul, watu wa consulate na immediate family. So hii ni ya gava. A1 ni ya gava. So wanaissue hii kwa watu wa gava. Alafu wanakushow for the last kutoka 2018 mpaka 2022 wamekuwa wakiissue about 10,000. Unaona? So wanakwambia 2018 wali issue 9,800 visa. Hizi ni all countries. Tutaingia kwa hiyo statistic ingine ya each nationality. So hii wanaonyeshana zote zile wali issue dunia mzima. The reason nataka go through hii kitu na karibu watu wa TikTok, kama muoni, I'm sharing my screen hapa YouTube kunini, tunaongea juu ya visas zenye zilikuwa issued in 2022. Sawa. So hii ni dunia mzima. This is the whole world wanaonyesha the number of visas they issued. So you can see A1, not so many visas wana issue. About 9,000, I think average ni about 9,000. 9,000 visas zinakuwa issued na A1. Hao ni madiplomats. So hiyo ni visa type moja. Kuna A2 ni other foreign government officials or employees ama immediate family members. Alafu actually other foreign officials na employees, government employees wana issue the most, kwa sababu unaona hao wanatoka from sijui 9,000 all the way wana jump to like 100,000 in 2018, but I think hiyo number imekuwa ikipungua ikipanda. Hii obviously mkiangalia 2020 na 2021 lazima muweke COVID kwa sababu COVID affected 2020 and 2021, and so those numbers will be very small because the lockdowns, there was lockdowns, visas were not issued. So 2020 and 2021 is an anomaly. Hiyo mkitaka kuangalia 2018, 2019 na 2022. Hizo ndio years zilikuwa at least normal. Aya. So the other thing I want to talk about A2 na A1. A2 na A1 kuna kata zile zinaendelea. What happens is there are people who will scam you. Watakuambia ati they are bringing you here. Ati wakuingiza kuna ka spot, like the government is coming, maybe the government of Kenya is coming to the US. Alafu they tell you pay this much money. Alafu will fix you there. Alafu ukuje. Hizo scams zimekuwa zikiendelea. They've been going on for a while. So they'll ask you for money and then they tell you, because the way they issue like diplomatic visas, you don't even go to the embassy. So they tell you, you just pay this much money, alafu will put you there. And what usually happens is once you pay that money, kinakuramba. Your money goes inaibiwa hivyo. That's a scam a lot of times. So be very careful. Alafu these visas, A visas, they are very difficult to change. So if somebody is telling you ati, oh, let me charge you this much money, alafu I will Let me come on screen first. Hey, if someone is charging you this much money and telling you that, oh, at he pays, and they ask you for a lot of money, especially because it's like, oh, it's a diplomatic visa, and they tell you, oh, Ata, you'll never go to the embassy, you'll just go to the US. The thing is, they ask you for a lot of money. So they're asking you for anywhere close to like $1 million to pay for this. You have to know this visa, the A visa, is very, very difficult to change. Why? Because you are coming to the US on an official government capacity. Official government capacity, ile time utadecide ukae hapa, that you don't want to go back to your home country. The day you will decide to stay here, there are so many conditions that you have to meet for you to be able to change your visa to stay here permanently. You have to, your government has to release you. The government has to release you, and then, so now you came through the back door. Alafu, now when the time comes, your government has to release you to say, okay, we are fine with this guy staying here. But the process is also it's tricky. So I would advise, if somebody is telling you and selling you this idea, because they do, and it is a lot of money, before you lose this much money, my people, as tukiendelea utaona there's so many visa categories unaweza apply. Tafadhali mimi kama wewe you don't work for the government, kama you're not a government official, government employee, a public minister, an ambassador, a diplomat, somebody who works for the consulate, stay away from this one. Aya, let me go back to sharing my screen. So A2, so A1 tumesema ni ambassadors, prime ministers, career diplomats, consulates na immediate family members. So kama we ni family member wa hao watu. Alafu A2 ni other foreign government officials or employees and their immediate family. So if you're not any of those, but you're a government official or you're a government employee, then you can come to the US with an A2 visa. So among the three categories, A1, A2, A3, A2 is the most used kwa sababu hao wengine government employees, government officials, wote wanaland hapo hivyo. So you can see, like in 2018 there was like 100,000 visas issued. Unaona? Alafu 2019 about the same. Alafu 2020, 2021 ikaenda chini because of COVID. Alafu 2022 last year there were about 86,000 visas issued. So A2. Sawa. Alafu tuende kwa the other category of the A visa, which is the A3. A3 inakuja attendance, kama we ni servant, personal employee ya A1, A2. Inamaanisha nini? Kama we ni mboch, I hope your si jina mboch, si jina derogatory. I think si jina mbaya kusema. Kama wewe ni nani, so even ndio njia ingine unaweza kuja. Unaweza kuja kama unafanyia mdosi kazi. If you work for a government official, wewe pengine you are the personal chef of a minister, you are the whatever, you are an attendant, you are the one that, you're the one that brushes his shoes and stuff, you can come to the US with an A3 category visa. A3 is for attendants. Unaona, attendants, if you are a servant, if you are a personal employee. So that's like if you're kama we ni mboch wa familia iko na government official, you can come to the US. Wanaweza kuleta we ni nani, if you are a nanny, caregiver, whatever, wewe ni either of those, unaweza kuja na category inaitwa A3. This category is not haitumikagi sana. Hii category haitumikagi sana. So ndio unaona, like even the last 5 years, the most number of visas zimeishiwa kwa mambocho na ni 800 visas. Na hii ni US mzima. Niliwaambia tutaingia kwa category ya countries. Ingia kwa countries ndio ujue hii country wana issue hii na hii. Sawa? So kama wewe, by the way, watu uniuliza mimi ni nani? Wewe ni nani? Wewe ni mbocho, wewe ni mtu unafanyia minister kazi, unafanyia diplomat kazi, unafanyia ambassador kazi, unaweza kuja US na A3. Sawa? tutembee. So tunaingia kwa kategori ingine inaitwa B visas. B1, B2 inajulikana sana. Sawa? B1 ni kategori ya business. So kama unakuja conference, unakuja biashara hapa hivi, unakuja na B1 visa. B2 so ndio wanakuambia B1, B2. B1 ni temporary visitor for business. B1, B2 B2 ni ya tourism, B1 ni ya business. Ukiapply useme utakuja B1, B2, that means unakuja biashara alafu pia unataka kujienjoy. Unaona, unakuja biashara alafu you still want to so you're coming for business but you also want to do tourism. So that's when you would apply B1, B2. So if you go, when you're filling your DS-160, first thing they ask you is choose which category. The category is B1, B2. Alafu, when you go down, it asks you what is your particular reason you're coming. So you can either choose B1, B2. If you choose B1, B2, that means you're coming to the US for business and for pleasure. So business and tourism. So B1, B2 together. If you choose B1, you're just coming for business, you're coming to the conference. If you choose B2, that means you're coming for tourism. You're coming to tour, coming for fun, coming to see the Statue of Liberty. You're going to Disney World, Disneyland, wherever you're going. So if you're just coming for tourism, make sure you choose B2. Okay. So so when you look at the categories of B1, B2 visas, you will notice that B1, B2, like both combined, B1, B2 is the most issued visa in the US. It is not even close. Haiko, not even close. You see, like 2018, B1, B2 wali issue 5.7 million visas za visitor. So ukitaka kujua ni category gani, what category people use the most to come to the US, B1, B2. Watu wengi wanakuja US na visitor visa. That is hiyo ndio nini. Juu ya namba ilikuwa 5.7 2018, ikaenda 5.3, ika 2020 nimewaambia 2020 2021. When you hear those years, think COVID, think affect, they were affected. These years were affected. Unfortunately, if you won the DV lottery and during those 2 years, those were like some of the most affected years. Alafu, back to last year. So last year they issued about 3.2 million B1, B2 visas. It is let me see. The B1, B2 visa is often, it involves the least amount of work. Kufanya B1, B2. It will take you the least amount of time to fill the DS-160, to schedule the interview na kwenda. Because when you start about school, all these other things, you need other things to go along with the visitor. But for visitor, they even, some people focus so much on, when it comes to the B1, B2, the visitor visa, they focus so much on saying, give me an invitation, I need but they actually, the USCIS, and I've told you this so many times, it is not, you are not required to have an invitation letter for you to apply for a B1, B2 visa. It is not required. It is people who just, because they will never ask you, let me see your invitation letter. They say that. And an invitation letter will not be the reason why you will be denied. An invitation letter will not be the reason why you are denied that. Why you will be denied that visa, is the B1, B2 visa, is because you have not met the other conditions. Because this visa, the B1, B2, they tell you, it's a temporary visa. You are required to come back to your home country. You need to show good home ties to your home country, that you intend to come back. You need to show that you can be able to support yourself. So so you need to show your intentions of going back. Your intentions of going back is in how you answer the questions. What the reason why you're going, the way you're answering your questions. That is how they judge you and your intentions to come. Vile umejaza DS-160, the way you filled out your DS-160, the way you've answered the questions. So these are the things they're not looking for. You want to go visit your auntie. Where is the invitation letter? And these are the things that people, People struggle so much to try and find these things that are not important. Invitation, you can go without an invitation letter, and you can say in your DS-160, I'm going to visit my auntie. But it is how you show up at the embassy and explain yourself. I mean, ask me, because they say that, ask me somebody whom they asked. And if you're here, if you've ever attended a visitor B1, B2 interview, tell me one person, if you've ever been asked, yeah? If you've ever been asked, and let me come on, if you've ever been asked, let me see your invitation letter. One person, one, because I know so many people here, my channel, they follow me. A lot of you have gone to the embassy. Ask me, tell me one person here. They asked you, show me your invitation letter. Hey, I'll give you a minute for you to say. They asked me. I went to the embassy. They asked me for the invitation letter. But like when you see people, they're reasoning. People are reasoning on the wrong things. By the way, people are asking for the wrong things, the wrong information. It is not the invitation letter. No. It's about your ties, man. It's about the reason why you're going. What is your reason solid? Does it make sense? Unaona, does it make sense? Do you like, or do you say, because there's some things that don't even make any sense. So you're going to a conference, and pengine, let's say, what is one of those weird? Okay, so maybe what do you do? So maybe you have a hardware. Maybe this is the most out of the. Maybe you have a hardware in your country, in your home country. You have a hardware. That means you sell hardware supplies and all those things. So you sell supplies, and then you apply for a conference, and the conference is is an engineering conference. Like that by itself, it doesn't make any sense. So what will happen? You will be denied because of the purpose of your visit. Because okay, you have a hardware here. Wait, and you want to go to like a civil engineering conference? How does that even make any sense? So purpose has to, or like the reason people like to use, and that's why people focus on the wrong things. Because people are looking for, send me an invitation, send me an invitation, send me an invitation, send me an invitation. Like you're looking for people you don't randomly don't know. So you just want somebody you met on the internet randomly to send you an invitation letter. And then you go to the embassy with the purpose of your reason is I'm going to see my friend in the US. Like, okay, first of all, what is the relationship you have with this person? You don't explain that in your DS-160. You go to the embassy, they ask you, so what are you, what is your intention? What is your purpose of your visit to the US? I'm going to see my friend. What kind of friend? Somebody, what is do you have any strong ties that tie you together that you're just going to visit this person just blindly? Is people focus on the wrong things, focus on the right things. Your purpose has to make sense to you before it makes sense to somebody else. Make it make sense to you. You know what makes sense, and that's why one of the things I try to push people so much to maybe do like the conference thing, because a lot of times a conference is very easy to tie. Let's say you have a business and you're going to a conference that does the same thing. Those things, they make sense. It's like, okay, so why are you going? I'm going to attend this conference. Why? Because like you talk about trade shows. Trade shows are places where business owners, business people go and they exhibit their businesses. They network with people. They want to grow their business. So your intention could be, I want to get into the American industry. I want to get into the American market. Or I'm going to learn skills that they're already using in the American market that are not already there in my country. Like, that makes sense. But when you show up and you're not making any sense, you just want to be granted because it's, I have a huge bank statement. My bank statement, bank statement that you went and got in River Road. I have 16 million. I'm just going to see somebody. It's like, wait, who's this to you? Who's this person to you? It's like, no, give me my visa. Because why? Because my bank statement is very heavy. How? How now? Merit, man. Make it make sense. So that's B1, B2. That's the most, like, if you see, let me go back to my screen. If you see all the other visas, there is not a single category of visa that comes close to the B1, B2. Most people come to the US to visit. Most people come to the US, to visit or to do business, to visit, to go to conferences for the B1, B2. There is not even close. Because I think what's the closest? Nothing is closest. Nothing. Because nothing else. Maybe the J1 comes closer. Let me see. J1 comes closer. So so like if you look at like last year, 2018, they issued, what is it, like 6 million when you add up all those visitor visa. So yeah, so that's if you add up these three categories, B1, B2, B1, B2, that's like close to 6.5 million. About 6.5 million visas in 2018 were visitor visas. B1, B2. So that means the B1, B2 visitor visas, so tourism or business. 6.5 million visas were B1, B2. The total visas issued were 9 million. 6.5 out of 9 million visas issued that year were visitor visas. So there is not even anything that comes close. That is how most people come to the US. They come with visitor, and the numbers tell it. Numbers tell it all. So let's move on. B1, B2, if you don't have any information on B1, B2, if you don't have any information on the visitor visa, I have talked about this visa so many times in my YouTube channel. I have a lot of information. You have to make sense, man. Just information is very important. Here's the other unfortunate thing that I've actually found out. I don't feel for a lot of people because I'm busy, but sometimes if I when I make some time, I've done it for some people, but I don't do it for free when I'm doing it for some people, because I've given you the information for free of charge on YouTube. You go do it. I've given you everything that you need. But if you want somebody, because it's not everybody can be able to understand. If you want a personal touch, if you want somebody that you can discuss with, talk about getting ready for your interview and stuff, I can do that. And one of the things I've consistently found, which is, it doesn't make any sense. Someone approaches me and they're telling me, hey, can you help me to complete my DS-160? Or some people, they're like, oh, I'm looking for an interview date, because they were last minute, and then they went to look at the appointments, and there was no appointment that was close to the conference they were going to. And then I asked the question. This question I've asked so many people. So, do you have a copy of your DS-160? Surprisingly, 95% of the time, people don't have a copy of their DS-160. And I'm like, wait, so you're going to the embassy and you filled out things that sometimes it's months ahead of time, and you're just going to show up at the embassy remembering what you filled out, that you don't even, because sometimes I don't even remember what I had for breakfast last week, like on Wednesday. I don't remember. Now, this is like months down the line. When you go for your embassy, you expect to remember what you filled in your DS-160. How does it make? Alafu, the other thing too that is like really mind-blowing is you ask these same people, you ask them, did you fill your DS-160? And they tell you no. Somebody did it. My aunt did it. I had an agent do it for me. Did you see what they filled for you? No. So what are you going to answer in the embassy? Do you know what they filled? No. I'm good at answering questions. You're good at answering questions. You don't know what they wrote. You even trust your aunties here who probably don't want you to come. And they probably, I can promise you this. I can promise you this because it's me, I know, and our people are this way. Your auntie did it for you. My cousin in the US did it for me. Did you know what they put in that DS-160? Oh, I'm just going to show up to the embassy. I'm good at answering questions. Guy, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. What? You don't know what you feel, and yet you plan to go to the embassy and answer questions from the consular who is looking at what you filled out, because the DS-160 is your marking scheme. That is the marking scheme. That is what they are referring to. What you filled. Okay, I said in my DS-160, I'm coming to visit this person. But you have no idea what was filled. And then they ask you, and you answer something that is totally different from what is listed. How are they going to give you the visa? Man, that's why that's for me, by the way, you're not going to, like, if I even fill it for you, we're going to do it together. Yes, I will help you answer but we're going to do it together. Why? Because I want you to know what you filled. I want you to be involved in the process. If you write out why your intention, I want you to know what is your intention. What are you going to do? So that when you go to the embassy and the consular asks you, you already know. Not like somebody, an agent filled out. Okay, so this is the other thing that was super crazy. So I just helped somebody the other day, and because they're saying, oh, this guy filled out for me, and I have no, they haven't told me anything. I want to make sure that I filled everything correctly. Can you please check it for me? And so because I did a video on how you can update your DS-160. So just because somebody else went ahead and filled the DS-160 and you don't know anything about it, doesn't mean that you're done. No, you can actually complete a new DS-160 and then go whenever you booked your appointment. Go change the confirmation number. You have one opportunity to change your confirmation number. One opportunity. And so if somebody filled out for you and you have no idea and you're going to the embassy blindly, please complete another one. I have a video on my YouTube channel, free of charge, telling you step by step how to complete that thing. And I tell you at the end, before you submit, do something very important. Print your DS-160. Why? So that you can have it before your interview, you can read it and make sure you are together with what you're going to the embassy to say. Because they ask you for a confirmation page. Why? So that they can make sure they're pulling your correct DS-160. And they pull it on the screen, they see what you filled out, and this is what former consular officers have said. I've said that's what they do. They look at your DS-160, and then based on your DS-160, they ask you questions. So the DS-160 is a marking scheme. Now you're going to a rigged you're going to a rigged test. You have no idea. You haven't studied. You have done nothing. And then they go ask you a question and then boom. Yeah. I'm sure these people, they laugh, Aki. When they see us, when they see our people, I'm sure they laugh. It's like, how, like, it's like going to whatever interview, job interview. If you go to a job interview and you haven't looked at the company that you intend to work for, you haven't even looked at the website, what they do and stuff, and then all of a sudden the interviewer hits you with a question, boom, about the company, and you have no idea. How are they supposed to give you a job if you can't even do your homework? If you can't do your homework, that's the same thing. How are you showing up to an interview and you don't even know what you filled? So rabbit trail. But that's what I wanted to say. Please, tafadhali, my people, do it for yourself. Complete it for yourself. Very important. Sawa, tuendelee. Tumetoka B1, B2. That's the biggest number. Not even close. 10 times, I think. Yeah. 10 times as many as any other visa category issued. Let's go back to Let's go back to the screen. My TikTok people, you cannot see my screen. So that's the B1, B2. So yeah, very few people just say they are coming here for pleasure. A lot of people just say I'm coming here for combination of pleasure and business. Pleasure and business. So C1. C1 is a transit visa. C1 is a transit visa. What's a transit visa? Transit visa is let's say you're going to like Kenya, you don't need a visa to go to Jamaica. All right. So if you're going to the Caribbean, is it Caribbean or Caribbean? Whoever pronounces it, potato, potato. So if you're going to the Caribbean and you're going to Jamaica, you have to go through the US. And for you to go through the US, you need to have a visa to go through the US. That is the C1 visa. It's a transit visa. So that means you're going to pass through the US for you to go to Jamaica. C1 visa, they don't issue so many of them. It's like 9,000 of them. So yeah, that's the other thing too. If you've never that would be a good visa. If you're in Kenya, if you're in Tanzania, Uganda, whatever, one of these countries, and you want to go build your travel history, why don't you go try a C1 visa and you go to somewhere like Jamaica? At least once they've already given you that C1 visa and you come back and you apply for a B1, apply for a work visa, it becomes easier for you. So that's a transit visa, C1 visas. Not so many, like 9,000 of them. Man, I should cut sometimes I tend to go on rabbit trails because there's a lot of information to cover. C1D is the cruise ship. So we talk about the cruise ship jobs. If you are a crew member, you get the visa. I've talked about the cruise ship jobs. I did an awesome video with Travel with Thuo. Travel with Thuo is a good resource for cruise ship jobs. That she's done a lot of research on this area. C1D visa, they issue, they've been issuing quite a bit of them. So 288,000 in 2018. It's about 250, 280,000 visas. Cruise ship job visas are issued every year. That's another good way of building a good travel history. But also, if you want to work your way towards another visa, come with a C1D. C1D, at least, you'll be on the ship, less expenses for you, but also you get a lot of opportunities to save enough money to build your bank statement so that you can come back and apply for different visas. I always tell people, please, please, please don't Kemboy. Don't Kemboy with a C1D visa. If you do that, one of the hardest visas to change, almost impossible, nearly impossible, is a C1D visa. C1D visas, don't even think about it. Go back, go do your job, finish your contract, go back home, and then if you want to come back to the US, apply a different visas. Please don't do that. It's one of those things, one of those visas you cannot adjust your status. You cannot say, oh, you fell in love with somebody and you get married. That's one of the things they say, you cannot adjust if you came in with a C1D, you cannot be able to adjust it. There's a very small loophole that you can, but it is very nearly impossible. So please, 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 C1D, come finish your contract, go back home. If you want to come to the US again, come back a different way. C2, person in transit to the United Nations. Yeah, I never even heard of C2. First time I'm hearing that. If you're in transit to the United Nations headquarters, and it looks like, man, there's not very many visas, less than 100. C3, foreign government officials, immediate family members, attendant, servant in transit. Okay. So the A visas is for government officials and stuff. But if you're like transiting through, maybe you're a government official, you want to go to Jamaica, then you would, I think, get a C3. Get a C3. So it's a transit, but for foreign government officials. Not so many visas there. CW1, Commonwealth of Northern Mariana Islands transitional worker. I don't even know any. I don't think that applies to us. That does not apply to us. CW2, spouse, child of a CW1. Yeah, no idea. Again, that doesn't apply to us. It's Mariana Islands, Northern Mariana Islands. And then you have the D. If you're just coming as D, you're coming as a crew member. Coming as a crew member. Coming as a crew member. So C1D, that means C1 is transit, D is crew member. That means if you go C1D, that means you're going to pass through maybe the US. So you're passing through the US, that's why you get the C1D. Pass through the US, come with a C1D, and you have like 29 days on land in the US. But just a D visa, you're a crew member, you're not stopping, you're not transiting through the US. Yeah. And then you have the E1 visa. I've talked about the E1 visa. No, I've talked about the E2. So the E1 is a treaty trader. If you know if you're, it's one of those, and I've done the E2 treaty investor. That means if you invest in, I've done videos on the E2 visa, which is, if you put a substantial amount of investment in the US, you can qualify to get a green card. E1 is something to do with business. If and it's, I don't want to delve into that because I haven't done a video on my channel yet on E1. I've done E2, and so there's quite a lot of E2s investments. People who've done investments. There's an amount that is required for you to qualify for this, but after, if you invest an amount to either an existing business that the USCIS gives you, or you do something totally new, and then it's a whole long process. If you want to see the process, I've done the video on my YouTube channel. There's the E2C, Northern Mariana Islands. I guess Mariana Islands is something. Then the E3 is just for Australia. So if you're in Australia, if you're an Australian and you're in a specialty occupation, you can come from Australia to the US with an E3 visa. So the E3 visa is specifically for Australians. And again, not so many visas issued, about 5,000 of each. And then if you're a spouse of, if you're the spouse or a child of the Australian specialty occupation professional, they call it the E3D. E3R is returning. Oh, if you're returning back as an Australian. These are like, I know I'm kind of skipping through this because a lot of this, not so many people use them. Maybe the E1, E2. If you're interested about becoming an investor, I have a video on my YouTube channel about the E2. But these other ones, they don't apply. So that's why I told you there's so many visa types, so many visa categories. Alafu, we come to the F1 student. F1 student is, if you're doing an academic or language training program. I came as an F1 student to the US. A lot of people come to the US as students, F1. And you can see, let me see, is the F1 the second highest used visa? I will confirm that for you. Actually, it is. So F1 visa is the second highest used visa to come to the US. Most people come to the US with an F1 visa. Yeah, I was one of them. And so are you. So yeah, F1 visa. It's like there's a lot. Yeah. Well, actually, last year they were even the highest number they've had the last 5 years. 400,000, 411,000. The US kind of issues a lot of, they like students, so that's another good way to come to the US. Again, I've done so many videos on the F1. It's my journey. That's how I came to the US. A lot of people come to the US with the F1. Yeah, second highest visa, non-immigrant visa category used. And then you have the F2 visa, is the spouse or the child of the student. So if you come as a student, you can also bring your children, or you can also bring your spouse. That's the F2. And yeah, see, not so many are used, like 26,000 a year or so. Then there's the F3. F3 is say border commuter academic. So F3 is probably somebody who lives in Mexico and maybe goes to school in the US. Maybe one of those people that lives across the border. You can just move in and out. Yeah, that's the F3. And it looks like no visa has been issued for F3 the last 5 years. Then there's the G1 visa. G1 is the principal resident, representative of a recognized foreign member, government or international organization, staff, and an immediate family. So these are the international organizations. The international organizations like what WHO, WFO, World Bank, yeah, all those international recognized foreign government, those recognized foreign international organizations. If you come to the US, you'll come with a G1. G1, yeah. Like I think there's a lady that you guys know, I mean, probably more on TikTok. She came here. You probably know her. She's in a lot of TikTok battles with the TikTok president. I think she came in with one of those visas, G1 or G2, G1 or G2. And then, so yeah, so G1 is a principal resident representative, and then G2 is other representative. So if you're, other representative of one of those international organizations or your family, you can come to the US with a G2 visa. And then there's a G3. G3 is yeah, it's representative of non-recognized or non. I've never heard of the G3. Representative of non-recognized or non-member foreign government to international organization and immediate family members. Yeah, there's not so many of those that are issued. You can see it's 300 or so, but most people come to the US with a G2. Under the G category, most people come as other representative, not the principal, as other representatives of international organizations. So that's the G visa. Alafu we go, there's a G4. G4, oh yeah, sorry. G4 is, I think that lady came with a G4 because G4 is the employee. So if you're not a representative, but you're an officer or an employee of the international organization, then you come here with a G4. G4S, G. So yeah, about 20,000 visas are issued every year. And then the G5, if you're on Botch, if you're on Botch, of G1 to G4. So if you're on Botch, attendant, servant, personal employee, if you're a nanny, I think I talked to a lady who came here. She was a nanny. If you're on Botch, to one of those employees or a representative of an international organization, those big UN, those international organizations, you come to the US with a G visa. Yeah, G visa. So yeah, G5 is for attendants, servants, or personal employee. So if you're just a personal employee, you come that way, and then we go to the work visas, which is a H visa. H visas. These are temporary visas. Remember, we're looking at non-immigrant temporary visas. H1B visas. H1B visa it's for. Again, this one I've done a video on it extensively. I've even done video of the employers that have been hiring for H1B. Done a comprehensive video on my YouTube channel. H1B visa is it's for temporary distinguished merit performing. You have to at least have a bachelor's degree for you to get the H1B. You see the numbers have kind of been rising. It was like 179,000 to last year they went all the way to 200,000, 206. H1B, they should rename it an Indian visa, because Indians use this visa more than anybody. For some reason, our Kenyan people or East African people, they have no idea about the H1B visa. But this visa is used a lot by Indians. Yeah. So the H1B visa has a cap, but there are organizations. If you work for a non-profit, or a government, agency, then you're you don't have to go through the cap. That's the H1B. There's a H1B1 is a free trade agreement professional, and then there's a H1C. H1C is it's for nurses. So if they need to really hire nurses quickly, wanawaleta through the H1C visa. H1C visa. I don't think they've done, so they haven't brought anybody with a H1C for the last 5 years. Zero. Then H2A. So these are the visas I haven't yet done that I'm going to be doing. Is the H2A. H2A is temporary workers who come here for agriculture. A for agriculture, H2A. They are the most. Actually the US started a program for seasonal jobs. This is an area that underutilized by especially our people. Our people don't know about the H2A, but these are agricultural jobs. You come here, some of them are, they're like seasonal jobs and stuff. You come here, work for, the farm, and then go back home to your home country. H2A. It's probably one of the higher on my list of videos that I'm going to be doing. H2A visa. A lot of, among when you look at the H visas are work visas. If you look at the H visas, the H2A, a lot more people come through the seasonal agriculture, mostly from Mexico. H2A, it brings in way more people than any other H visa category. That's the H2A. H2B, other services other than agriculture, and I think Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania are not on the list of people who can come to the US with a H2B. And then there's a H3, you come in as a trainee. So yeah, you're brought in as a trainee, just a temporary worker, trainee. Then the H4 is a spouse of, so if you come here with a H1, H1B, H1, H2A, H2B, H3, you can bring your spouse or your child. Yep, spouse or your child. Alafu, moving on to the I visas. I visa is the visa for representative of foreign information media. So if you work for the media, if you're a spouse or a child, you come with an I visa. So if you're into if you work for foreign media and you want to come to the US, come with with the official for on the whatever capacity for your foreign media. Yeah, and you want to go with the I visa. I visa is also still on my list. Hoping I can. I have a long list of visas that I need to do, and so that there's a lot more. When you talk about content, there's so much content, very little time to do it. So all these visas are like, some of them I've done, some of them I haven't done. So yeah, I visa kama unataka kuja na national media, any as whatever media, radio, TV, whatever, come with the I visa. And you see, well, about 10,000 visas are issued every year for foreign media representatives. Alafu the J1 visa has 14 programs. Another one that people just under there's 14 programs that you can come with. Another one that is, I think, number 3 on the list. So number 3 on the list of the highest people that come into the US with the non-immigrant visas are J1 visas. J1, whether you come in as an au pair, you come in as a trainee, come in as a teacher, come in as an as high school student, come in as a university student, as a physician. There are 14 different programs. Camp counselor, J1 visa. So again, this is another category of visa I have done extensively in my YouTube channel. Check out the J1 visa. J2 is a spouse or the children of the J1 visa. Okay, so yeah. Alafu, you have the K1 visa. K1 visa is a temporary visa. This is a fiancé visa. And it looks like not so many people actually come to the US with a K1 visa. Not so many people choose to use K1 visa. Again, if you want to come to the US faster, it's more expensive, a little bit more risky, especially if your relationship is not the strongest. But that's a K1. K1 is a temporary. Temporary, why? because you have 90 days to get married. You have 90 days to get married once you land in the US. Once you land in the US. But also, the denial rate for K1 visas are higher than the spouse visa. Spouse visa. And then if you are coming with your child, your stepchild, as a K1, as a fiance of a US citizen, you can bring your child with a K2 visa. K2 visa. And then there's a K3, applies for just certain spouses of US citizens. That one is even new to me too. And you can see like 5 people, about 5 or less people, 6 or less people have come to the US for the last 5 years with that visa, K3. K3 visa. K4 is a child of a K3, and yeah, tiny. Yeah. And then you have the other one is also on my list. Man, someday we'll get time. That's why, man, we don't have time to. When people try to derail us, we don't have time to be derailed because there's so much stuff to do and very little time to do it. Very little time to do it. Let me make sure that I note down some of those things. Some of the visas that I need to kind of do videos on that I haven't already done. Yeah, I've done a lot on the C1D. I haven't done E1. I don't know. That might not apply to our people. I'll do the G1, the G1 to G5. And then obviously there's a H2, H2A. I don't know if I need to do a H1C. Because most people who are coming to the US as nurses, they come with the EB3, which is more permanent visas. Okay, and then L1, where, man? So L1 is an exchange. So if you work for a big one of those international corporations, they call them multi corporations. Like if you are in accounting and you work for KPMG, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Deloitte, then and you work in Kenya or Uganda, Tanzania, and there's a position that opens up in the US and you apply for that position, they can transfer you. It's called the intra transfer. There's a lady that actually, I probably need to reach out to. She's an accountant. She used to work for, is it PwC? Work for PwC in Kenya, but she's now here in the US. So try and reach out to her, see if she can come in and give us her story. L1, and then L2 is a spouse. If you coming and you're married, then you can come with your spouse with the L2. M1 is a vocational and non-academic, so that if you come to the US to study plumbing, electrician, all this handy work, this handiwork, kazi ya mikono, you come with an M1 visa. And you can actually see the numbers have gone down, probably because most people are using different other visas. But the M1 visa, 9,000 in 2018 and only 5,200 in 2022 last year, 2022. And then if you come, if you come to study, let's say you're coming to study, to become an electrician, a plumber, carpenter, you can bring your spouse and your kids with the M2 visa. So yeah. It's underutilized. I mean, I have done videos on I probably need to do maybe more. I did one. I think I've done a couple when I was beginning my YouTube channel. Probably need to do a little bit more. Maybe focus on another industry. So yeah, and then an M3 is if you're same thing. If you live like across the border, maybe in Mexico, and you come study in the US, There will be the M3, but again, no visa has been issued for the last 5 years for the M3. Then you have the N8. Whoa, yeah, that's a special immigrant. N8, N9. That's a. I don't think that applies. Yeah, that's N8 is a parent of SK3 and SN3 special immigrant. Those are like special. And you can see too that the N visa, it's for special immigrants. Special immigrants. Again, too, not so many people come to the US, the N visa. And then there's a NATO. If you work for, so if you're a representative of NATO, if you work for NATO, if you're an employee, if you're, uh, so yeah, if you're a representative or you work for NATO, then you come to the US with either NATO 1, NATO 2, NATO 3. I don't think that's our visa. I don't think that's our visas. But again, not so many of those. Then there's NATO 4, NATO 5, NATO 6. Yeah. Again, NATO 7. All these visas, I don't think that applies to us. That doesn't apply to us. Then let's keep NATO and then go to O. O visa is the another one that's on my list to do. What they call it's usually for, it says person with extraordinary ability in sciences, arts, education, business, or athletics. So if you're good in athletics, and you wanna change the way, how like there were Kenyans who were changing their nationalities to become, well, like to run for like Qatar and stuff. It's the same kind of thing. And they say extraordinary, but it really extraordinary as long as it's how you phrase your thing. Another one, I guess, that I need to do, and also bring somebody to talk about the O1. Yeah. But if you come with the O1 visa, you can bring people to accompany you. So like Ferdinand Omanyala. Yeah, Ferdinand Omanyala would qualify for this job, for this visa. And what's the name of the, yeah, just some of these famous athletes would qualify, as long as you're an athlete or you are in the arts industry, education, business. You just need to show that you whatever you have is extraordinary. Yeah. Or wait, who, like Maslow, or Sir Isaac Newton. Those are some of the people that are in the sciences, and you're published, you're a lecturer in a certain level that, you've been published and all that stuff. That's a visa you will use, the O1, O2. Yeah. And the one has been used. It's been used quite decently, like 16,000 2018 to 19,000 people in 2022. Yeah. Alafu, if you're a spouse, so there's the O1 is the main person. O2, if you have like your trainer, so if you are in athletics, you have your personal trainer or like your motivational person. You can bring them with the O2, but also you can bring your spouse or your children with you, which is the O3 visa. And then you have the P1 visa. P1 visa. This is all my comedians, all my musicians, all my entertainers, all the DJs. P1 is your visa. P1 is your visa. It's if you're, but also if you're an athlete, you can come with the P1. Yeah. So if you're internationally recognized, an entertainer, if you're a celebrity, let's say celebrity, this is your visas, P1. So yeah. But then there's P2. P2, if let's say there's an exchange program happening in the US, like maybe you do something in your country, and there's something similar that is happening. Or let's say, an example that I've thought about is if you're like into skating, like, if you do skating, you do entertain that way. Skating, biking, like you do biking X, all those crazy stunts and stuff. This can be a visa for you. And maybe you're coming to learn, the way the way they have their skates and all those things, like the skateboard. Maybe the US skateboard is more advanced than the skateboard they make outside in your country. Or, or like skate parks, if you're coming, man, to just learn how to build better skate parks in Kenya and or Tanzania or Uganda, that can be one that you can come with. So that's a P2. And then P3 is it has to be culturally unique. So that's a has to be. So P1 is just an entertainer. P1 is just a celebrity recognized entertainer, athlete. P2, if you're coming to do an exchange program here with whatever you do. And then P3 is it has to be culturally related, cultural unique programs. And those ones, actually, P3, P1 has been bringing in a lot of people. A lot of celebrities have been coming, 20,000 or so, and then half of those are under the P3 culturally unique program. And then if you come in as an entertainer, you can bring your spouse or your kids with a P4 visa. Yeah. I know this session is long, and but this is very good information that you probably don't know. I'm very sure I'm even learning some visas I did not know. I didn't even know there was a NATO 7, NATO 6, NATO. Yeah, but it's good information if you're planning on coming. Somebody asks, okay, so what are the other ways I can come to the US? That's kind of what we're talking through. Then there's the Q1 visa. Q1 is so the J1 is a cultural exchange program, and then the Q1, it's an international cultural exchange program. Let me see how they put it differently. Oh, okay. So J1 is just an exchange visitor, and Q1 is cultural. There has to be a cultural component. Q1 is a participant in an international cultural exchange program. Yeah. Not so many people come with the Q1, and then there's the R1. R1 again. R1 again is for the religious occupation. Religious occupation. Another one that I need to do. Yeah. So if you're tied to a church or whatever religious, a mosque, whatever religious occupation that you're in, that's the R1, and then R2 is the spouse of the. You can bring your spouse or your kids with a R2 visa. And yeah, not so many people come with the R1, about 4,000 a year. And then S5, S5, this is when you start getting into the S visa and the T visa. So I'll just, not so many people come with the S and the T visa. Then there's so many. I think I have also on my list. I don't know why I've never done this one. I've talked about it so much. I've talked about it so much, but for some reason, I haven't done it. STU visa. Yeah. So STU visa. So the S visa, if you're an informant, and so there's a S5, S6. If you're an informant, maybe you're telling them about a criminal organization or a criminal enterprise, and you're an informant, you're a snitch. If you're a snitch, you get the S visa. So yeah, if you're an informant, you get the S visa. So if you snitch on a criminal organization, a terrorist organization, then you get there. So the S5 is for criminal organizations or enterprise. The S6 is for terrorist organization. S7 is the spouse of the S5 or S6. All right. Then there's the T visa. T visa is often human and sex, human and sex trafficking. T1 is the victim of T1 severe trafficking, human trafficking. Then the T2 is a spouse of a T1. T3 is a child of a T1. T4 is a parent of a T1 who is under 21 years old. T5 is the unmarried sibling under the age of 18 of a T1. T6 is an adult or minor child beneficiary of a T1. There's a whole lot of stuff going on. But that's like the T visas. That's the T visas. It's human any sex or human trafficking, sex or human trafficking. But yeah, again, on my list of things that I need to talk about, visas that I need to talk about. So you see, there's a lot of visas. Like I've always told you, that you can bring you to the US. TN is the Mexico-Canada border agreement. Mexico-Canada border agreement. TD is a spouse of the TN, the Mexico. If you're one of those citizens of Mexico, US, Mexico or Canada. So U1 is it? So yeah, UNT visas kind of go together. UNT visas go together. So U is more criminal activity, and then T is more sex and human trafficking. Sex and human trafficking. So U1 is a victim of criminal activity. If you've been a victim of criminal activity, if you've been, uh, abused that way. And then U2 is a spouse of the U1. U3 is a child, and then it goes U4, U5, U6. There's there's no U5. There's no U6. No U6. So it's the U5. So you can see, man, you talk about visas. What we did today, we just went through the categories of. So there are visas that haven't been handed out that are not here. These are just non-immigrant visas. These are temporary visas. We haven't even looked. I don't know if I'm gonna really look at. What I might do is I might look at immigrant visas, especially for people who are bringing in their families, or employment. Maybe talk about the visa bulletin and how to interpret that. I can do another. But yeah, this was more. I know it's a more boring session, but it's a very informative session. If you listened, then and you're thinking, okay, what visa do I apply? There you have it. Go through this video. It will give you everything you need to know about all those temporary visas that are available to you. Temporary visas that are available to you. All right. Let me quickly change. Let's change scenes here and talk about the countries. So now we've talked about the whole country. That was the US. Now let's talk about Africa. What countries are what visas are they issuing for this different categories of visas. And all right. So Kenya. So when you look at Kenya, oh come on. Let me make it smaller so that we can see. Oh wait, is there a way I can minimize a tab? That way we can see. There's no way I can do that. So I might have to make it smaller so that we can see the countries. Ooh, that's tiny. It's tiny. Ooh, come on. Yeah, unfortunately, there's no way. It doesn't work with Pole. All right, you might not see. I'll make it bigger for you so that you can see. But when you look at the different categories, this is 2022. This is 2022 information. So looking at Kenya, let me know what other country I will need to be looking at. Conjugal visa. Sorry, I haven't been looking at your comments too, my people. Kenya. Kenya, like always, you know what the number one non-immigrant visa was issued? Because Sababu, we know it was the visitor visa. So last year, 10,000 visitor visas, B1, B2 visas were issued, 10,000 of them. And when you look at other countries, Kenya is high. It's high there, but not as high as. So this is the other thing I was trying to tell you about this conversation is looking at what countries are they issuing more visas. And when you look at like visitor visas in Africa, Visitor visas in Africa, Egypt is one of those highest countries that they issue visas, because there were like 42,000 visas issued in Egypt, B1, B2. And then another country that was higher than Kenya was Algeria. Algeria, they issued 12,000. 12,000. So Algeria, Egypt, okay, and then Kenya was 10,000. Ghana, they issued 13,000. Ethiopia, they issued more than Kenya. Ethiopia, they issued 11,000 B1, B2 visas compared to 10,000 in Kenya. So yeah, people who are often thinking, oh, let me, maybe I'm looking for a different appointment somewhere. There's a reason. Maybe you work in Ethiopia and you wanna do your interview there. Ethiopia, they give a lot of. Egypt is like 4 times as many visas issued, B1, B2 visas issued in Egypt as in Kenya. So 42,000 compared to like 10,000 in Kenya. All right. And then let's go to other countries. Let me know if you're here with a different country and you want to know your statistics. I will let you know. I know for sure Uganda, Tanzania. I know this, it's thin. I will make it bigger. Make it bigger. Pole. I will make it bigger. Okay. So Morocco. If you'll notice this one thing, by the way, do you know that the DV lottery, they select more people from North Africa than they do any other part of Africa? So, and you can even see the visas that are issued like the B1, B2 visas, 15,000, close to 16,000 Morocco, 42,000, close to 43,000 Egypt, 12,000 in Algeria, 12,000 in Nigeria. So North Africa, they issue way more visas. And then obviously you have the country that they issue the most number of visas. Obviously, it's more populated, Nigeria. Nigeria, they issue 60. Last year they issued 68,000, close to 69,000. B1, B2 visas. Let me make it bigger a little bit. So yeah, Nigeria, they issued 69,000 visas. And then South Africa. So really the top, when you're looking at the top 5 countries that the visitor visa is the most issued visa in the US. When you look at Africa, the top 5 countries are number 1, Nigeria, with 68, let's say 69,000 visas, visitor visas issued. And then number 2 is Egypt. Number 2 is Egypt with 43,000 visas. And then number 3 is South Africa, if I'm not mistaken. South Africa with 25,000 visas. And then number 4 is Morocco with 16,000 visas. Morocco. And then number 4 is Ghana with 13,000. And then I think followed by Algeria with 12,000. And then after that is Ethiopia with 11. And then Kenya comes in with about 11,000. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So Kenya is like number 8 on the list. Then let's talk about my people from Uganda. Uganda, there were 5,200, like 5,200. Not too bad. 5,200 visitor visas issued. Tanzania was, following after that with 4,100 visitor visas issued. 4,100 visitor visas issued. So now you know. Kenya has the most visitor visas issued in East Africa. What is Sudan? Oh, even Sudan, South Sudan, they don't get a lot of visas issued in Sudan, South Sudan. Ooh, yeah. So there you have it. There you have it. So then let's go back to Kenya and look at how do I let me duplicate my page that way. I can still share my thing. So looking at Kenya here, A visas that we talked about, the A visas that we talked about, it's the A visas are when I talked about the A visas, I'm talking about the ambassadors, diplomats, consulates, government officials, attendant servants, personal employees of those people. In Kenya last year, there were about 900 visas issued, A visas issued, and then the most visas issued were B1, B2 visas, and then you have the transit visa. So there were about 40 people who probably went to Jamaica from Kenya. About 40 people went to Jamaica from Kenya, and then people who got cruise ship jobs and visas last year, C1D visas, 940. 940 visas were issued in Kenya last year, which was I was like this the third highest. So in Kenya, most visas issued were visitor visa, and then I think it was the F1 visa, the student visa, 1100, and then the C1D visa. C1D visa came in number third, and then the government came in number four. Yep. But but as far as F1 highest issued in Kenya, F1 visas, and then second highest after the visitor, and then there's a G visa. G visas are for the international organizations. Alafu there's we don't have a lot of people who come here with work visas to the US. Kenyans, only 423 were under the H visas, which this number we need to improve, Bana. We need to improve this number because that's too little. 423 people come here with work visas, temporary work visas in Kenya. And then you have international media people came in, about 26 of them. And then the J1 program, about 539 visas. So that's Kenyans. That's the statistics you can tell. Most people came from Kenya last year. Most of the visas granted were visitor visa, alafu student visa. After student visa, there is the cruise ship C1D visas. And then after that, the A visas, the government officials and stuff. And then after that, it's the G visas. If you work, the people who work for UN and the international organizations. So that's Kenya. And Tanzania. Tanzania again, I think it's the same thing. It's not so much different than Kenya. Only that the numbers were less. The numbers were less for Tanzania, because only 4,100 visitor visas were issued, and then after that it's kind of like the same. So student visas 711, and then A visas, which is the government officials, 400. And so it's the statistics in East Africa are kind of like the same, very very similar. And then after that you have the J1 visas, and then again too, Very few people are coming. Very few people. Like even Tanzania, man, only 50 people came here with a work visa. Yeah, too little, Bana, too little, too little. And then you have the international organizations, 366. Uganda, like the statistics, East Africa is so similar, very similar. Again, Uganda, uh, 5,200 visitor visas issued, followed by student visas, 944. Alafu, this one changes a little bit because they issued more to international organizations, 470, and then followed by the government officials, Uganda government officials coming. And again, man, look, 73, only 73 work visas from Uganda. Man, gotta do better, East Africa. Like compare like Uganda and this and South Africa. South Africa, half of the people who come, half of the people come to visit, half of the people come to work. 12,000 people came with H visas from South Africa. Like look at us, East Africans, man, only 50 compared to like 4,100 coming to visit. Yeah. Some visas are very underutilized, very underutilized, very underutilized. Yeah, let me see. Pum, pum, pum. I don't know if this is as important, but I can share this with you guys, so that you can see. These are like the visas, number of visas that have been issued by each country from 2013 to 22, the last 10 years. So statistics on the last 10 years, and you can kind of tell which countries get issued the most visas. And obviously, Nigeria is banned from the DV lottery because they have the most number. See, most number of people. Look at it. Nigeria has Abuja and Lagos. It's like it's not even close. Yeah, Nigeria has like the most people coming to the US. That's part of the reason why they're disqualified from the DV lottery, because so many of them come to the US. So many of them come to the US. And then South Africa, they issue a decent amount of visas to South Africans. And then Uganda, it's like not so many visas, not so many Ugandans coming to the US. Not so many Ugandans. So many Ugandans, Tanzanians, even less. Watanzania, amutoki. Yeah, and then Kenya is somewhere. Where is Kenya? Where is Kenya? I don't even see Kenya. Where is Kenya here? Where is Kenya? Kenya is here. Kenya is also decent. Kenyans are coming. Yeah. Kenyans are after some point, maybe Kenya might be one of those other countries that get on the list of you cannot apply for the DV lottery. Kenyans. Yeah. Kenyans are Kenya is competing with Ghana and Ethiopia. There's a lot of Ethiopia. I think there's a lot of Ethiopians that are coming to the US. Way more Ethiopian coming to the US than Kenyans. There is, and maybe it's a trend. And I think, let's look at here. The trend is since when? No, it's for the last 3 years. For the last 3 years, it's just been more Ethiopians than Kenyans. But yeah, Kenyans I think are more in the US. Kenyans are more in the US. So these are non-immigrant visas issued to Kenyans every year for the last 10 years. So if for people who are often thinking about, hey, I want to change, go to another country, you have to know Kenya is loved by America. Kenya is loved by America. And so you changing your visa to go to another country, to go do your visa interview in another country, my friend, might actually be reducing your chances of getting your visa. Why? Because as much as in Kenyans, even though people are saying, oh, we're getting denied, there's probably way more Kenyans that are wanting to come to the US than maybe other countries. But generally, when you look at it, we tend to be favored more than so many countries. So you changing and going to another country saying, oh, I want to go do my interview in Tanzania, Uganda, is not really, yeah, doesn't really improve your chances. Doesn't really improve your chances. And I have so many tables, but I don't think I wanna really dive into the tables. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, I could talk about grounds for refusal, like what are the common ways people get denied visas. It's also a chart because they give a chart on how common reasons, refusal reasons, why people get denied visas. But yeah, that will be 214B is obviously the biggest, but might not be as important for you guys. But yeah, maybe another time when I'm talking about employment-based visas, these are immigrant visas. So for people who are talking about visa retrogations, people with, coming with the EB3 visas, nurses, people who are waiting for family members, you applied for your brother, your kids, your spouses, your mothers, your parents. There's a whole lot of thing going on interpreting the visa bulletin. These are some information that I give it to you, but today's topic wasn't the most glamorous. It wasn't like me, bringing somebody who's super interesting, but I think it's really good information. Very, very good information. Very, very good information. So yeah, anybody who asks you the question, what are some of the ways I can come to the US? Show him this video. Show him this video and say, these are the ways. If you want to come to the US, go apply one of those visas. So many of them. So many. Hey, sawa. Fiti man. Aya, my English I have spoken enough English for the day. So, aya. Questions, watu wangu. Maswali watu wangu, hata na like, hata mpigi likes mtu wangu, yani information free of charge. Nimeenda nikachimba, naenda kuchimba na migodi hivi, naona watu wanani hate saa ingine, watu naona ma agents wananichukia sana kwa sababu nakuja hapa napatiana, lakini hata hao ma agents, kwa sababu sio kila mtu, acha tuseme tu kweli, mimi nitajaribu nisaidie watu wetu hawasaidikangi. Hata nikiji watu wetu watakuja tu, wengine watakuja kunitusi, wengine watakuja hata uwasaidia aje. Hata Mother Teresa najua kuna mtu anamtusi. So yeah, mimi nitaendelea kuwapatia information, na ni information very, 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 very useful by the way. Hopefully itasaidia mtu, na najua ishasaidia watu na najua itasaidia watu. But I think hii session ya leo ilikuwa fiti sana. Ilikuwa fiti sana man. Ilikuwa fiti man. Na I think ninapenda kuongea about immigration. Unajua sengine unakaanga uko zile za I get so excited talking about hii kitu man, hata si kitu nilisomea. Sijui God anajaribu kusema nini. But napenda especially ile kitu napenda kueducate watu man, because kama kuna kitu kwa hii dunia, kama kuna kitu sahihi ni man, watu wetu man hawapendi ku spend time ku gather information, but information iko very, very important man. Tuko information age, usiende tu hivyo. Na hii si ati unajua mtu anaweza sema hii ni jabaration ati sijui nini. Mimi nakuonyesha ile kitu iko yani, wewe kuja upingane na mimi na statistics, na hiyo ndio kitu mimi tutaenda hapo. Kama ni facts, tuongee facts, tupigane na numbers. Hizi ni numbers US yenyewe government ina release information freely available. Usipoingia utaiona, but pia you have to know it's there, kwenda kudig information kaa hiyo. Ndio mimi nafanya, mimi naenda nawachimbia, nawaletea hapa. Wakusaidika watasaidika, watu wa TikTok naambiaga mazi, TikTok unajua uko na 10 minutes kujaribu kuongea na 10 minutes hata walianzisha juzi. Kitambo ilikuanga 3 minutes. Una nini, ukienda kufanya hivi point video inaisha. So huwezi fanyia watu. Alafu pia man, nini yangu kama video za niko na videos sijui how many thousands of videos hapa TikTok. Lakini sasa nikikwambia enda TikTok utafute video nilifanya about, utatafuta aje mtu mimi na uploading video kila siku. Niko video hivi zimejaa hivi, hauwezi. Lakini ukikuja kama hapa YouTube nimekuwekea playlist, nakwambia kuja uangalie video, angalia kwa playlist. Ukitaka video ya visitor visa, angalia kuna US visitor visa, video tu za visitor visa. Naomba enda uangalie DV lottery, kuna playlist ya DV lottery. Naomba okay, unataka kazi za remote, kazi za US, angalia kwa playlist ya US jobs, utapata hapo hivyo. Ukitaka video za immigration, iko na playlist ya immigration zote. Hivyo tu, yani kitu mzuri, ndio kitu mimi napenda ya YouTube, kwa sababu inanipatia chance ya kupiga mdomo, na mimi kama kuna kitu napenda ni mdomo. Ni mdomo. I think nilizaliwa nikiongea, lakini ni funny. Unajua watu ukinipata in real life, mimi I am very quiet. In real life I'm actually muskiza more than naongea, but nikikuja hapa hivi saa nyingine hata maswali siwezangi kusoma juu ya perepere. Niko na perepere mingi, but I think ni perepere inasaidia watu. So aya, maswali. Kama uko na swali about hiyo kitu tumediscuss, uliza swali ama tukanyurie tu, tukamalizie tu hapo. Poleni kwa kuwabo wale watu niliwabo kwa statistics. Ni muhimu watu wa consume information, wata consume information. Watu wa consume info, wata consume info. Aya, kama una swali by the way, uliza. Watching from Qatar. Where have we gotten those numbers? Department of State, US Department of State. Ni numbers ziko available. Wanakuanga na report every year, wakimaliza inaitwa report ya nini, ya report ya visa every year, kila mwaka. Hebu nione kama nikitaka ya 2021 naweza enda kupata. Kutoka 2000 wako na reports kutoka the year 2000 all the way to 2022. Every mwaka wakimaliza mwaka wakafunge, wanaekaga hii information iko free of charge, wanai-release huko. Watu waone. Thank you for your educative session. Asante Kibor. Ati conjugal visa ni gani hiyo? Conjugal visa ni gani nani? Cash koala. H2B umesema HB2 na I think ulikuwa na mean H2B. H2B visa nita apply aje sasa? By the way, H2B visa haiko. Last time I checked, Kenya is not on the list. East Africa is not on the list. Hiyo waga wana disqualify countries zingine. But H2A ya agriculture jobs hiyo iko. By the way, na kama tafadhali kama unanisikiza na uko na ulikuja hapa US either na L1 visa, ulikuja hapa ulitransfer kutoka Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania with an L1 visa, man, na uko na story, kuja utupatie story yako. Kama ulikuja hapa na L1 visa, kama ulikuja hapa na O1 visa, P visa, R1 visa, man, nione inbox tafadhali. Kuja upatie watu story yako man. Hizi ni nini? So kama ulikuja, najua P najua wase kadhaa, but kama ulikuja na P visa, R visa, R1 visa hiyo ya religious nione kando tafadhali, Q1 visa, Q1 haikuagi common, lakini kama ulikuja na Q1 woi, niambie ama we ni mtu wa U visa, T visa, umepata hiyo through. Niliwaambiaga by the way, ikikuja ni stories za U visa na T visa, kama umegongwa na agents na huyo agent ako US, kama huyo agent ako US na unajua ako US na uliletwa hapa akikudanganya, vile unaona vile wanadanganya watu Canada, ati na muache kubelieve hizo vitu bana. Acheni kubelieve hizo vitu. Mtu hajawahi leta anybody. Hajawahi saidia mtu. Hata ujui mtu ati amekuja, by the way, umse alinisaidia kuja. Niko hapa kwa sababu ya umse. Yaani mtu jaiona amesaidia anybody, lakini uko willing tu kutoa pesa uende ulipe mtu akufanyia kitu just because ako na platform. Chungeni sana history ya kudanganywa hapa hivi ati niko na agent legit. Achaneni na mkikataa mtakuja, si naonaga mmejaa kwa inbox yangu mnalia vile mligongwa. Vile achaneni stories, sijui nitawaambiaga makas. Hii story mimi na wasting na investing hii time yangu kujaribu kuwa educate. Ndio msigongwe na vitu kama hizo. Msigongwe na hizo stories za agent bana. Nimeona ati wanasema ati mimi napelekanga watu na unskilled, kazi za unskilled. Unajua ile kitu watu hawajui ni information hawana. Na unajua utastruggle sana by the way ukienda mahali kama Canada. Ndio upate hiyo permanent resident in an unskilled jobs. Itakupatia shida. Itakupatia shida kuchange nini yako ukuje upate permanent resident yako. Itakuwa shida, lakini watu hawanini. Watu hawasikii. Watu wanataka tu wakuje. Kwa sababu mtu ako na following na platform, anakuja tu anawaambia kujeni mnione kando. Mtu hata mwenyewe hajui. Ukimuuliza hebu niambie process, hajui. Lakini wewe uko willing kuinvest pesa yako kwa mtu kama huyo. Just because everybody, mtu ako na following kubwa doesn't make them ati genuine. History mkuambiaga, ukisikia kitu inanuka kama scam ni scam. Ukisikia mtu anakuambia utoe kitu na unasikia roho yako inakataa, fuata roho yako. Usipofuata roho yako utakuja kitakulamba. Kitakuramba. Utakuja una lamba lick your chops. Chop your licks. Aya. Okay. Here comes the questions. Swali gani? Okay, sawa. Joshua Mecha anasema hi Owen, was requesting if naweza kuwa hii visa ya crew members, must one have work experience na wapate job? I think ni vile, si lazima juu kuna kazi zingine man unafundishwa. Ni vile tu unajipresent. Unajipresent vile unatengeneza resume yako, vile una interview. Hizo ndio I think vile una present resume, vile una interview. Jua watu kwa cruise ship wanataka watu wamechangamka, mtu atakama chapewera. So si lazima kuwe na work experience. Alafu pia saa nyingine ukisemaga work experience, unajua saa nyingine mtu uangalia work experience inaweza kuwa pengine wewe unaangalia tu kuandikwa kazi. Si lazima uandikwe kazi. Enda uangalie man kitu ulifanya. Hivyo ndio wazungu ufanyaga. Kitu ulifanya unaweza translate into an experience. Pengine ulienda ukasaidia mahali, itengeneze vizuri. Design hiyo ni experience yako. Inalingana na hiyo nini unafanya. So si lazima ukuwe umeandikwa kazi. Unaweza kuwa ulivolunteer, ulifanya nini, unaichange hiyo experience yako inakuwa experience. Susan Nanjala quiz, kwa green card confirmation number, my name started from the last name first then second. Sasa nikijaza hiyo form nitazipanga aje? Utapanga kulingana na vile umeulizwa. Ukijaza DS to 60 itakuwa imeandikwa hapo juu first name. Unaona wameandika hapo last name, first name, utajaza tu kulingana na vile umeulizwa. Ni vile US wako hivyo. US wanaanzanga na wanakuwa addressing na surname ya kwako. I think niliongelea hiyo the other time. Tunataka visa ya H2A agriculture. Yeah, H2A iko hapo juu, iko hapo juu. Na by the way, yeah, kama ulikuja na H2A, tafadhali wewe unafanya kazi huko kwa mashamba, kuja utupatie story yako, otherwise mimi nitawapatia theory. Aya, ati then with the same crew member visa can one get residence ama ukimaliza rudi home. Yeah, niko na watu kadhaa wali decide kukaa na C1D na wanateseka. Tafadhali woi, home ukinini, home ukimaliza nini yako. Aya, I think sijui kama kuna mtu ako na maswali ama kwani nini yangu haina nini. Ngoja, nini yangu haina comments. We chill, kwani nimefunga comments? Nikichill. Windrose uliza tena, sikupata. Aya, na ukakosa date, for example Kenya uamue kwenda Tanzania ama UG, unasema si fiti. Mimi naweza kwambia kaa nini, kaa your country, kaa country yako, usichange nini, usichange country. Kaa country yako. Sengine unaweza kuangalia mara moja ukose, but kaa ukiangalia kila siku. Kuna watu nimefanya nao hivyo na nawaambia nini, nitumie nini yako, ndajaribu kulogin kama umelala, nikwambie kama sengine watu wakilala Kenya ndio hizo nini zinakanseliwa. Watu pengine mtu ana cancel the last nini kama before watu walale. So hizo ma open slots zinakuwa sana sisi watu wa US tukiwa macho. Kama mimi nikienda niangalia, na mnasikiaga sengine anakujanga natengeneza video nawaambia, by the way kuna hizi siku zimefunguka, kuna hizi. Kwa nini? Kwa sababu sengine siku zao funguka kama watu wamelala mtaa, kama watu wamedozi mtaa. Yeah, pole kwa blackout. Aya, kwani hii TikTok watu wanaweza, kwani watu hawezi kucomment? Juu naona tu watu wamejoin hata wasielewi. Naona tu watu wako nini. Hebu wekeni, kama unaweza weka comment. Watu hawezi weka comment ama ni nini? Sijui. Please. Ati Eric Karaoke anasema hello Owen, hebu talk more about social security application, na if mtu anaweza apply ID ya US ukiwa na social security. Eric uko wapi? So na hiyo ni a totally different topic. Tunaweza ongea another day. Yeah, kama uko US nione. But yeah, kuna states wanaweza kupatia license hata kama hauna manini, kama kina Washington hauna makara, unaweza pata DL. I think Minnesota pia was one of those states ilifunguka. Wanjiko Modhoni, niulize, niko na 2 kids na sijaolewa, but inakaa we stay relationship. Nikiselectiwa kama siwezi fanya harusi juu life US peke yangu na watoi. Kama unataka kufanya harusi fanya saa hii. Kama unataka fanya saa hii, usingoje mpaka ati ushinde ndio ufanye harusi. Fanya hivyo inaleta red flags. Kama muoe saa hii. Si either way, mshinde msishinde, si uoe tu. Muoe saa hii. Ndio ikiingiana muende pamoja, badala ya kungoja. Ukingoja ati sijui uangalie ndio upate nini, unaweza hata nyimwa. Oa saa hii, kama unataka kuoa, oa saa hii. sahi nani? Ian Kamuru anasema vipi mkuu, kuna YouTube video umefanya ya kujaza I-134? I think so. Yeah, I think nilifanya video ya nini ya affidavit of financial support, but ni form rahisi sana, na nikaongelelea about poverty levels yenye ni kitu wanaangalia, ile kitu wanaitisha transcripts ama 1040 ni tax return. Asha, hello, when is it possible to get EB3 while on visitor visa? Please advise. It's possible, lakini itabidi basi umefanya extension ya juu. Kupata EB3 lazima ukue in status, so that means you would have to extend your visitor visa. Pata msem nini atakuextendia hiyo visitor visa. Kuna watu wameanini hivyo na ukapata EB3 wakachange. Unaweza change work visa ukiwa na visitor. Joshua, alafu kufanya masters, can someone with a second? Yeah. Utapata. Ati certificate ya marriage inagonga 50k just a single. Si koti iliweka injunction hiyo kitu. So wenda saa hii uchukue before zipandishwe. Si koti iliweka injunction. So kama kuna time ya kumari ni saa hii, ende umari saa hii uchukue certificate before court itoe nini. Before hiyo kitu wa nini government ishinde. Enda watu wakamu istay and then muolewe saa hii before nini before ikatae. Yeah, I think kuna kitu mbaya na nini yangu. Watu hawa nini hawezi comment. Alafu ati uende ufanye harusi kwa AG ati 100,000. Okay. Government ya Kenya haki. Wanacheza. Is the music man from your mouth to God's ears. Unasema next year you'll interview me from the US, man. I'm here for that, my brother. I'm here for that. Come through maze, kujeni through tupige nini maze, mkuwe ma encourager. Tukuje tushikane pamoja man, to encourage watu nini. Tena jaribu kuanzisha nini yangu tena juu I think ina nini inaleta mbadala. Start. Vipi Owen, juzi nilisikia ukisema kuna njia mob za kukuja Mayolo besides DV. Share some ways juu naona ni ngumu kupata visa. Buda. Guy, wewe. Yani nimekuwa nikifanya nini hii video yote yani? Watu wangu. Kwani nimekuwa nikifanya nini kwa hii video yote? Hii 2 hours yote. Tafadhali haki watu, mniambie tu. Semeni tu haki. Only subscribers can comment. Okay. I didn't know that. Where? No, my people, haki, tell me. Nimekuwa nikifanya kazi ya Eric, that's what I've been talking about the whole time. Okay, umejoin sahi, sawa. Enda urewatch hii video. Hii video yote imekuwa hiyo swali yako. Hii video yote imekuwa kujibu hiyo swali yako. Other than DV, what are some of the ways unaweza kuja majo? Ati CKCSE unaweza pata shule ama ubridge. Kuna nini una bridge. Nimeshika. Mnasema ati TikTok inasema ati watu lazima wa nini. Zikuwa na yua. Kindly elaborate. Kindly elaborate. Pale kwa interviews kwa embassy zile za green card. What do you want me to elaborate? Nimeleta watu, I've brought like 5+ people. Wameongea about experiences zao za DV lottery. Wanaongea juu ya interviews zao. I think nimeelaborate sana, unless uko na swali mimi sijui. Sijui unataka ni elaborate nini? Ni elaborate nini? Tafadhali. What should I elaborate? The only subscribers can comment. Yeah, Aki. Sielewi unataka ni elaborate nini? It's a very easy interview, by the way. Hiyo ya nini? Susan Njala. Susan Njala. Niambie, what qualifications someone is required to have? H2A tutaongea siku ingine. H2A tutaongea siku ingine. Watu wa nini sijui. Pole. Mtu anajua kucorrect hiyo kitu. Aniambie juu mimi. Pam, pam, pam. Eric Kariuki, in green card, how do you know you have a high case number like Kenya? And also, how do you know? It just depends too. I don't think it too change every year. It changes every year, but musema, because kama saa hii I think wamefungua mpaka, wacha niangalie the latest visa bulletin. Nikwambie wamefika case gani? Visa bulletin. Juu tuangalie December. Tuangalie December. By the way, kama kuna mtu anajua undo hiyo story ya nini aniambie. Hiyo story ya subscriber. I have no idea. Nilichangia wapi? Haya. For December bado wako 11,000. Oh, ngoja. Januari wataenda 22,000. So Januari watapanda. Januari wataenda 22,000. So it looks like hii mwaka wanaenda haraka sana. Hii mwaka kama Januari watakuwa 22,000, lakini I think nilikuwa nimesikia EDV kuna mpaka watu wako na 120 something thousand. So inakaa basi kama Januari watakuwa 22,000. Inakaa watu hii mwaka watu wako na 30,000 case number yao si high. Sasa pengine huko 80,000, lakini historia haijulikanangi. Hao watu wote wanaweza gongwa na basi ubaki peke yako huko ukiwa 122,000. Ina depend man, angalia visa bulletin, hiyo ndio msema kweli. Visa bulletin itakwambia vile wana process hizo nini. Itakwambia vile wana process hizo vitu. Kuna mtu anajua kutoa hii kitu yake kwa nini? So yeah. Visa bulletin ni msema kweli, itakwambia kama case number yako ni high. Because okay. Kuna mtu ameuliza. Okay, sawa. Estangeche anasema B1 B2 visa, if I have Europe visa but didn't manage to travel when filling the Should I leave it blank yet visa is stamped on my passport? Ngori. But you, so ulikuwa na visa na hauku travel. So that means hauku travel. Ulipata visa lakini hauku travel. So yeah, hauku travel. Ukweli ni hiyo. Ukweli ni hauku travel. Ulipata visa but haukuenda. Na wanauliza zile place umetravel. So Joshua, is it possible for one to pay for his tuition if he comes as a student? It's sina kufanya kazi, not by paying. So either ucheki kama hiyo, you see the nini that I did. I did a live the other day na Rotich about kuchukua loan ama upate scholarship, or you get a scholarship. But otherwise you cannot rely on the nini kufanya kazi. Unaweza, but kuna watu wanafanya hivyo, by the way, F1. So unafanya kazi so much in the summer that you save enough money kupay for your tuition in the fall and some in the spring. Alafu unaingia kwa payment plan na university, ulipange polepole. Unaweza, watu wamehaso hivyo, watu wamehaso hivyo, but ni kujituma. Hiyo nayo ni kujituma. Juu huwezi kuwa mlezi hapo, huwezi kuwa mlezi hata kidogo. Yeah, so otherwise unaweza chukua loan ulipe ukimaliza, kama hiyo Empower. Hope she'll be getting alerts for your lectures for more to update our minds. Aya wadau, I think wacha let's call it today. Ilikuwa session poa, 2 hours 10 minutes man. Hopefully umesaidika na hiyo information. Before utoke, make sure you leave me a like. Niache like, share this video with anybody unajuana anataka kuja US, anashanga what ways anaweza kuja. You can share this with them. Otherwise watu wangu, si ni hivyo. Ni hivyo. Fiti man. Shukran kwa wale wamekaa. Shukran mazee for staying. Alafu mbarikiwe sana man. Until next time man. Bless up man. Na ni hivyo. Na kamenyuria. Fiti man.